another episode of Unscripted from Real to Real. I'm your host, Jay Hill. Had a little bit of a glitch in my system. Everything kind of shut off on me, but I digress. Anyways, um, tonight we have a special guest. I've had her on my show, a previous show that I had on YouTube on my Studio Six media platform. Sin Shrader Hill. We have an author, paranormal investigator, researcher, and I'm excited to have her come back on and talk to her a little bit more and reconnect a little bit and find out what she's been up to. So, on that note, let's get her back here.
Hey
Hey,
there.
yeah, I had my system is so sensitive. If I bump the table just wrong, just right, I guess, and everything just kind of, I lose my camera, I lose my microphone. It just sucks. So
See,
yeah, but
technology is great when it works.
it's great as long as it works the way it's supposed to.
Exactly. Exactly.
So how are you?
I'm great. We're having television issues, streaming platforms.
We're,
So yeah, so
oh,
technical
okay.
difficulties abound.
Hmm. Right, right. Yeah, we're actually in kind of a drought right now. So yeah, I think that we're supposed to get some rain possibly next week, but we had some sprinkles come through this afternoon, which was like, oh wow, cool, and it lasted about 10 seconds and then quit.
And
So
gone. Oh,
yeah, I mean,
we're
we've
getting
had quite a
another
bit of
rain.
rain in the last month, but now it's like, you know, I don't know exactly where you're at, but if you're getting a lot of rain, good for you.
Yeah, I mean we've got thunderstorms and everything. So
Okay, okay,
craziness.
yeah. I wish it would be a little rainy here sometimes because it's good for the grass in our yard. But I like the sunshine. I like the warm weather, and I like summer, and I like all that. So I'm not a winter person.
Yeah, I my
But
mom used to lose me during thunderstorms. I'd be out on the porch watching it. So
hmm oh
I
yeah,
could live
yeah.
in, I guess I could go to Seattle and be fine.
No, I'm not a wet weather person. I don't. I have my wife's cousin lives in London, and I don't know how she can do it because I mean, it's the weather over there. It's rainy like 80% of the time.
Yeah, and foggy and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no thanks. I need sunshine. I need that light on my face.
yeah.
So, what's up with you lately? I mean, you got something in the works?
Um,
Like, are you
been
working on a new book?
yeah, several as a matter of fact. I brought out number 6 and number 7 last year, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a follow up to my signs book. That was number 4. So it's not goodbye, signs from beyond, talking
Mm-hmm.
about our loved ones coming back, including animals and or near death experiences and angel rescues, just different things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And then when it came out, I had so many people coming up saying, "Oh, I've got a story that I'd love to tell you about signs." So I figured
Mm-hmm.
a second one was coming out. The problem came when I was getting so many near death experiences. It was kind of edging out the other stuff. So I figured that book needed its own.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, Death's Doorstep is near death experiences, angel rescues, and spirit warnings. And then the second signs book came out. It's not goodbye to signs, more signs from beyond. I'm working on Chilled to the Bone, which is some true ghost stories from me, my friends, family, and then
Mm-hmm.
my buddy that does the illustrations for me and the covers, Mark Elliott Foltz. He's also an author, so I edit for him while he does the covers and illustrations for me. We try kind of trade out that way. But he gave me some old newspaper articles of ghost stories. And so now we're bringing out together um, Unquiet Dead. And the first two books are headless ghosts and colorful spirits and that kind of thing. But there's so many of them, it's taking two volumes.
Right.
After that, there's going to be vampires and it's crazy what we found in the newspapers from 1800s and
Mm-hmm.
back. Craziness.
Yeah.
So it's been
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. I interviewed a friend of mine from Ireland a couple of years ago, and he talked about uh, he lived right up the road from a cemetery that had a supposed vampire buried in the cemetery, and he talked about the folklore of that, and
Wow.
talked about, it's like, I mean that was back in the day, probably 1800s or even earlier. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So the the theory goes that some of these stories that we hear about vampires and this and that, not so much as of late, but I mean, if you go back into history, it's pretty a dominant topic, of what they believed, and the whole thing of putting cages around, a gilded cage around their graves, around their grave, and the bells, I mean, it's just it's kind of crazy.
Collars on the necks. It's
Yep, yep, yep.
crazy.
I mean, yeah, I just, yeah. There's so many different books that I know about, kind of the Victorian folklore,
Hmm.
of the era, and
Yeah.
early 1900s with spiritualism and all that. I mean, it's just around that time. That was the time to be, because there were so many great stories and so many, you know, different news articles back then, because everybody, back then, that was really wanted they really wanted to really get a story out there
Hmm.
using regular newspapers that were really up and coming, in for United States, and even in other countries. It was just like, put a good ghost story in there, and man, that paper's probably going to do good. People love that. you
They
know
did. And Rhode Island had a big vampire epidemic, supposedly.
Really.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they've got their famous vampire up there. I believe her name is Mercy Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a young girl, along with all the other vampires from the area. Um, and I can't remember for sure if she had TB, but a lot of the vampires in Rhode Island
Mm-hmm.
had TB, tuberculosis, and were
Mm-hmm.
dying from that. And they
Mm.
would dig them up, burn them, burn their heart, this kind of
Wow.
thing, and kill family members that were still alive because they were going to be vampires. It,
Right. They were afraid that it's like that guilty by association,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
and that in itself is some of the things that they used to do, or they believed in back in, the day. Go back to even the Salem witch trials. I
Yes.
mean, it was just a lot of it was just is the fear of unknowing. If they
Hmm.
don't know, or if they don't, research or find out the truth, I mean, people are too quick to judge nowadays.
Yes.
Even, I mean, like it is nowadays, but even back then, it was like, especially with religion. If you had any type of, like today, I would have been probably burnt at the stake.
Me
You
too.
know, yeah. So I mean, and that's a scary thought. You
Mhm.
know,
I mean,
look
back
how far
then,
we've come.
I
You know,
well, yeah, and have we? Sometimes I think,
Eh,
yeah, but
yes and no.
yeah, yeah,
It's a gray area.
it is. It so is. Back then, if they had a very respected speaker, a
Hmm.
preacher, then
Hmm.
they could get their word out so quick and
Right.
people would jump on it. Oh, preacher
Right.
says this is a witch. We've got to burn
Right. 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 And I still, to this day, I'm not a fan of that word. just because of the fact that it was such a derogatory phrase. You know what I mean? And that word itself, and I don't I know people who need to be Wiccan and things like that. It's different, but it's just the way that society, I would have to say, bastardized. You know, it's really one of those things where can't you can't follow that type of lineage without getting some type of pushback. You know what
Right.
I mean? You can't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But that even goes with anybody. I mean, you don't have to even be associated with that. It could be something completely different that society doesn't agree with.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
and so it is what it is. But
Mhm.
I just, I take pride in, and I keep my head down, and I just do what I got to do, and or I want to do, and help people, and you know, research and teach people, and you so how is the investigations going? Have you been on any new investigations?
I have been to Thomas House recently.
Okay.
We had a big public investigation, so um, that was fun. Mark came up from Florida, and we rode up there. Paranormal couple was there. Nights on Paranormal, and then Eric Freeman Sims. I believe you know
Hmm.
Eric.
Yeah, I
He
know her.
pretty much put it together. So
Okay.
they're going to do that again. Mark and I can't go back when they go. They're going to do it again, I believe, in September. Um, so that was fun. It was fun getting everybody
Yeah.
together. And
Hmm.
whenever you get people together, you're always going to learn something new. And
Right. Right.
it's always fun.
Yeah. I was on an investigation last night at
I
Broadhead
saw,
Manor,
I saw that. How did
and
it go?
yeah, it went really, really well. We did have some things come through. Uh, they split us up into like four different teams because there was like 30 people there. It was a paid event that I was a guest of, and Jesse Hawthorne was also on the team, and this girl Cassie. And it come to find out that Cassie was also a medium, so it was like three mediums in one group with two of the ladies there that weren't, and it was really, really weird because my parents or my mom came through, and I was she was kind of talking with me in that sense because Jesse was using dowsing rods and this and that. The dowsing rods kept following me.
Oh,
And then, well, you come to figure out that that was my mom that was trying to
wow.
connect. And it was crazy because my mom's name came through on the spirit box as well as, saying that she liked Jesse, because Jesse's a really good friend of mine. And I've had her on my show quite a few times, and so, but it was good. I mean, we learned a lot of different stuff. But what one thing we did learn is having three mediums in one room, kind of tendencies as it has a tendency to a either amplify everything or disperse everything.
Oh,
Because we
wow.
were in a doll room that whatever was in there was a lot of different things that were in there that were running around everywhere. And finally, Jessie just put her foot down and say, "Okay, that's enough," because it was getting chaotic,
Hmm.
and we were having stuff go off with the cat toys and this and that. And I tried to walk in a corner, I couldn't do it. It was just like I just had this disgusting feeling, and then all of a sudden, it just changed. And yeah, so I mean, the validations were really good. It was, and I like that building, and I like Bill, and I've known Bill for a few years, and it was just good to be able to go there and to investigate and to hang out with people that I know,
Yeah.
and even meeting some new faces and stuff. So, have you ever been there?
I have not. Where is it?
You need to go. It's in Broadhead, Wisconsin,
Hmm.
so it's an hour north of me because I live right on the border of Chicago or Illinois and Wisconsin.
Okay.
So it's a small town, and it's kind of funny because it was an old school way back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Had a fire. They built up half of it again, and back in the 1950s, my cousin, who's um, in her 80s now, um, went to high school there, and in the 1950s, and so she loved that place, and it was just, and I could see how cool of a place it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been there through a couple events. I'm going to go back there next week with the beer brawl event, and uh, Nate Ewell and his girlfriend Morgan are going to be there, and a bunch of other people are going to be there that I have run into and talked to before. So, but one of these times when they do have a big event, you should really look to travel up here
Yeah.
and
You
check it
know,
out because it's really cool.
I finally got to Wisconsin last year. That was, I've got, I had two more states to get my 50. Wisconsin was one of them. And
Okay.
we came up to Racine, and then
Okay.
up a little bit above that. I can't remember the name of the town, but it was fun. We went to this place that makes Kringles, the
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
bakery. Yeah. Oh,
Yep. Yep.
just so good, so good.
O and A. I think it's O and A.
Oh, and it,
I think.
yes, yes.
Yep.
So,
You can't live in Wisconsin without knowing O and A.
oh
I
my
mean,
God.
that's yeah, they're good Kringles. Yeah, most
Yeah, it was
definitely.
fabulous, fabulous. So that
Hmm.
was fun.
Yeah,
That was
and
really fun.
yeah, and then you got Kenosha, which is
Kenosha,
50
that's it.
minutes
That's where that
50
was the
minutes
town.
east of me. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different history there too. There's an old theater that's being renovated, and uh, Ed Levin, that I investigated with last night with Spire Paranormal. Um, I was wanting to contact the guy that was doing the renovations, but I was so busy I couldn't do it. And then I found out that Ed contacted him, and I guess they're going to do an investigation there. So I might want to tag along for that one because that would
Yeah,
be really cool. You know,
yeah.
so yeah, I don't investigate like I used to because I'm not young anymore, and
Well, it's
I don't
it's
do the
too.
whole overnight thing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And it's just it's hard to find time too.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, I
expensive.
agree.
Um,
Yep.
we are Mark and I, or Mark wanted to do this, and I was like, yeah, I'll go. Um,
Hmm.
we're planning on going to Waverly Hills with
Okay.
a group, and
Hmm.
he is just an old spiritualist at heart. He
Hmm.
psychic medium, just
Hmm.
does all kinds of stuff, and he did his first table tipping on a live at Hopkinsville at the Night House, Eric's
Oh,
haunted house,
okay. Yeah,
and
yeah,
so that was cool. We're going to do it
yeah.
again at Goblin Con, and that's in August in
Okay,
Hopkinsville. So,
right.
but
Yeah,
we're going to also try to do it at Waverly and see what all we can
I
do.
was there last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was there, and we were just doing the tour type thing, and then afterwards, kind of let you roam free, do whatever. Um, the one thing that I got from there the most is people who were very disappointed because they were hoping for a cure, hoping for something to help them. And there were so many different. I was walking down the hallways in some of these rooms, and even the outskirt rooms where they had the open foyer windows with the fresh air was supposed to come in. You know what I mean? They'd have their beds out
Hmm.
there. You have seen pictures of that. That
Right.
was my favorite place. I mean, I just loved the whole fresh air coming in, and you could look
Yeah.
and see the woods, and it was really cool. But the sorrow, the disappointment was so thick. I mean, there were so many people that didn't make it out of there or that didn't get that treatment that they thought that they were promised, and so to speak. And it was very. kind of very painful. I mean, I
Mhm.
walked through there, and I got by the time we were done, I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to get out of there. I was my body was I was like screaming in pain because it was just the emotional stress of it was just too much.
I
And
can I can
yeah,
kind of see that coming. Yeah.
hmm right. So even though I guarded myself and I protected myself very well, because of the influx of different energies that have not only been there in the past but have traveled through there,
Mhm.
as in the
Yeah.
present, um because it was a collection. It was almost just it was kind of like chaotic. You know what
It's
I
too
mean? It
much.
wasn't it was too much. And I
Yeah.
knew that was going to happen. I kind of had an idea that it would, and it did. And so it wasn't surprising, but it was irritating because I don't like to be like that. I
Right.
would rather try to get something out of it. You know what I mean? That I could turn into a positive, but I really couldn't. And part of it is because the fact that these places that they have that are haunted, supposedly haunted, or even if they're haunted or whatever, is so commercialized and so much foot traffic with so many different energies,
Yeah.
which I understand that they're trying to make money and whatnot, but there's some places that need a sense of delicacy, you know. And I'm not saying that Waverly has to be that way, but I knew what I was getting into when I went there. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
it goes with any asylum.
Yeah.
There's been some
Hospital.
asylums that I've been in, yeah, and some asylums that I've been invited to that my spirit guide says absolutely not. Just because for some rhyme or reason, it's like, yeah, no. Have you
Mhm.
ever gotten that where you've thought that somebody's invited you someplace and said, yeah, you should really come here, and then you get all excited, and then you realize, yeah, I don't think that's a good fit for me.
Well, Thomas House can be like that because it
Really?
was, yeah. Red Boiling Springs was a health haven for people to come and people that had TB, people that had, just different things wrong. They would come to these springs. There were, I think, four hotels in the area that people
Hmm.
could stay at to convalesce. And many people died there. It was
Hmm.
something that they hoped that the springs would, like a fountain of youth, take away everything
Right,
that was
right,
bad
right.
and make them
Hmm.
whole again. And it just didn't happen. So
Hmm.
it's got a lot of dark
Hmm.
feelings and heaviness when you walk
Hmm.
around.
Right, right.
I think a
But a lot
lot
of
of
people don't
places.
realize, yeah, a lot of people don't realize that they're like we were talking about foot traffic for different places. People have lived their lives on these spots, these locations, land, whatnot, and the
Mhm.
imprint, especially if there's quartz or something underneath, or the foundation is can store that energy and whatnot. It just makes it that
Mhm.
much more powerful in that sense. And
Yeah.
especially being down there, um, in the South, and some of those springs and some of those places that are they're trying to heal with the natural springs and natural this and natural, what I mean.
Hmm.
I think that their intentions were good. I think that they had the intentions of healing people, but it only takes one person to say, hey, we can make money off this.
Hmm. Like
And I think a
snake
lot of
oil.
that,
Yeah,
yeah, I think a lot of that had happened, and I think a lot of it is still happening.
I think so
you
too.
know and it's really just, if you go all the way back to when, because our 250 years coming up,
Yeah.
you go all the way back there, and if you really stop and think about what it was like back then, 250 years ago,
Can you
you
even
know
imagine? I
I
just,
can't,
you know,
I just,
what would we do without our phones now?
right, right. I just, the things that you know people went through back then, and keeping everything, because it was just the 13 colonies.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
nothing was really explored yet.
No. You had to
But
go get your own food, you know?
hmm
I
yeah,
mean, there weren't drive-throughs.
right, right. And I have a a love for the East Coast.
Yeah.
Because the fact that that is where everything kind of started. And the buildings, the houses are gorgeous.
Yes, they
And I
are.
talk about Gettysburg and all those beautiful places around there, and even in Virginia and all that. I have ancestors from Virginia. So it's just kind of like I appreciate that. You know what I mean? I can appreciate the beauty in that. But everything is kind of a. Somebody was telling me that they went to the East Coast to go to what's the what's the beach on the East Coast? It's North Carolina, South Carolina.
Well, there's Myrtle Beach in
Yeah,
South.
that's what it is. Myrtle Beach. Yep, yep. Okay, Myrtle Beach. Okay, so they were going over there, and then it was kind of like they didn't know what to expect, but they realized once they got there that it was so commercialized that they really had a hard time discovering any history except for
Yeah.
certain spots. And I guess I mean that kind of makes me sad. You know,
Well, I mean,
I love
everywhere.
history.
I do too.
Yeah.
And one place I really want to go is St. Augustine. Talk about history.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Can't even imagine.
Right. I mean, there's
Savannah
even some. Oh yeah, Savannah
is
has
a
got. Oh
great
yeah.
place, but it's very commercial.
hmm I just I don't know. I guess it's just maybe I'm just kind of a
I think we're all kind of jaded, just a little bit.
yeah. I don't know. I believed in even growing up and studying history in school and in high school and stuff and this and that. I didn't really appreciate it until after I got out of high school and then
No,
when
I
I
don't think
years
anybody,
later when I got into more of the paranormal, it was gosh, I really could research this.
right?
I
I
love.
wish
There's a house.
I wish I had
There's a
listened. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I wish I'd listened to, and I was like not even paying attention half
I
the
wasn't
time. And
either. Mm-mm.
yep, yep. Now it's like I wish I was. But there's a place in Gettysburg called Cash Inn, Cashtown Inn,
Okay.
and it's a restaurant, but also it was like a B Airbnb, like a B&B, like a bed and breakfast type thing, but like it had rooms. Uh, my namesake, my last name, our last name is is on one of the doors of the rooms
Really?
there. Yes, and he was a captain in the Confederacy.
Wow.
Now
Did you did you stay?
I don't know. Yeah, no, I have never been there. I have yet to be there, and I've seen programs and TV shows because it's supposed to be really haunted, and I've seen different programs and this and that, but I've researched um, that name, and I don't think that I'm related directly per se to him. But if you really think about it, I mean, my ancestor. I come from stock of William Henry Hill that knew um, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, and because he was in politics, he helped write the Federalist Papers back in the day. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
I had that connection there. Now I don't know if it was a cousin or if it's whoever, but I've always been drawn to that Cashtown Inn because of that name. And it could be the fact that because of the fact that you are from the South, you might have a better chance of being related to him than I do.
Maybe we
But
both are. I mean, I am only
right,
by marriage, you
okay,
know.
okay.
So
So
would be my
yeah,
husband, and he's actually from Pennsylvania.
okay,
So he could very well
yeah.
be
Oh,
related.
that very well could be.
Hmm.
You know, um, I don't know if you know. There's a good friend of mine, and she's a medium. Her name is Susan Hill, and she's a Hill by marriage. And I think that her husband is actually a cousin of mine. And it's funny because I have this feeling that we were related at one point. You know what I mean? So because I have my dad came from a family of and it was like 14 kids, and my dad was the
Wow.
youngest.
That's
Okay.
a big
Um,
family.
yeah. My dad was the only one born in a hospital. My dad was born in 1934. My grandfather, his dad, was born the same year that Billy the Kid supposedly got shot
What?
in 1881, I think it was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandfather, Harry Harold, got he died of old age in 1963 after 66 something. So yeah, but
Interesting.
it was just it's crazy. My lineage is kind of all over the place, but
It is.
on my namesake's side, yeah, it's just kind of funny. I found that my grandfather was born in 1881. My grandmother, his wife, was born in 1891 or 1890. So when she was 13 when he married my grandfather. She was, and he was 20. I think that's what it was, or 21,
But back
someplace.
then, that was
That was
fine.
normal, right?
Hmm.
That was normal. Now it's like hell no, But um, and it's funny, how we talk about history and we talk about different places and the appreciation of history and this and that. And if you ever realize that, do you ever realize that history is that was that 6 degrees of separation? It's almost like they're
Supposedly.
so close together. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So close together. And we moved to a place when I was 13 in Missouri, and it was a little like village outside of the off the highway south of St. Louis, and there was a little town underneath the bridge, or underneath the highway that was just a old yellow old store, uh, something else and something else. I mean, it was like you blink, you miss it, you know. And it had a church. Well, when we were going through my mom and dad's stuff, or when we were moving my mom years ago into an apartment, we found my dad's parents' marriage certificate, and they were married in that little place called Barnhart, Missouri,
Oh
in
wow.
1901. Yeah. And I never knew. My dad never knew. We didn't, no, didn't know that. And it was like, it was right there. Why would we move there?
Right.
And it's funny because the person that found that place, when we were looking for a place to live, because my dad had a new job and we were looking in Missouri, we couldn't find anything. And we were down there for a whole weekend with me and my sister. We couldn't find anything. And at last minute, I pulled up the paper and I'm looking, and my sister was like, "What are you doing looking? You're not going to find a place." And I said, "What about this one?" And it was right across the road from where Barnhart is. And it was back then it was 1984, $500 a month for really nice two fireplaces, one upstairs, one downstairs, out in the middle of nowhere. And it had a small village, and it was just like, what are the odds
Yeah.
of that? You know what I mean? And it's kind of like
Yes.
almost
That's
like somebody was
perfect.
guiding us. Yeah, somebody was
Hmm.
guiding us to do that. And I
Hmm.
do believe that ancestral ties have a role in that.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're
I
right.
mean, I don't know if you have researched your ancestral line. Have you done that?
Just a bit, yeah. My on my dad's side, Shrader.
Hmm.
A lot of people spell their name with a C,
Hmm.
SCHR. Well, my family, when they came over from Germany, they came to the North Carolina area and then came on over into Sevierville, Tennessee, which is East Tennessee around Gatlinburg. Um,
Hmm.
and then came farther west from there. So, but when they got to Sevierville, they dropped the C because nobody was spelling it right anyway.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So we're one of the few that does not have the C in our name anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing how that happens? I mean, it's really so weird because you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, they changed the spelling of that back, when they came over
Yeah.
on the Mayflower or whatever." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
or when they were on Ellis Island. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
Or change their
for
name
some of those people,
completely on Ellis Island,
right,
to so they
right,
wouldn't sound like they were from a certain country or whatever.
correct,
Um,
correct.
just so much. Again, history. I wish I'd listened.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
My go ahead.
oh, no, no, no. I was going to say, you mentioned Billy the Kid. There's another
Yeah.
place I would love to investigate, but it's way away from here. Um, it's in New Mexico, Cimarron, New Mexico, called the St. James Hotel. Have you heard of it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh huh.
I would love, love, love to
Yeah,
stay there. And they,
yeah.
still got bullet holes in the walls, and
Hmm.
all the gunslingers went through there.
Yeah. I went to a couple years ago. I went to Tombstone,
I love
but
Tombstone.
by myself. I went, and the best food I had was at Big Nose Kate's. I love that place. I love. I sat at the first table. I The energy in that place was pretty intense. Um, so yeah, I had some good experiences there. I walked through the bird cage, um, got great pictures. You know, it was just. But there again, it goes back to it was so
Yeah.
commercialized. I mean, I went in August. Wasn't terribly busy. The weather was nice at night. It was kind of hot during the day, but I love it hot. It didn't matter. But the history aspect. I was standing in front of the Oriental, leaning on a post, looking down the dirt road or the dirt street, and thinking about the history of who actually traveled down that
Right.
street. How many
Right.
gunfights happened in that street? How many people died in that street? You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that
So
to me
many.
was that my own right. So to me was a lesson in learning lesson of of just kind of just like researching history in my mind, you know, and being able to kind of use my third eye to see those certain things. And
Hmm.
that was really cool because I felt like at that moment I was meant to stand there, like I had been there before. That was
And
weird
you
because I
and
felt
you
like
might have.
right, yeah. According to the lady that helped me with my gifts, uh, she was my mentor, Shannon Shanna Marie, and she had said because I'd always get these random things about the Old West, walking into a saloon and be like, why am I thinking of that? You know what I mean? And she had told me once that probably, once in your past life that you were part of that scene, that you have this infinity, that you love the Old West. But I also have this love for Gettysburg. I love the
Yeah.
whole aspect of that. You know what I mean?
So
So it's
reverent.
like,
It's just
right, right,
you
right.
can't not be reverent there.
Right, right, right. And you can't be, I mean, you may not be able to pinpoint certain things, but if you are able to think of those things and appreciate those things, it's like, to me, it's like finding gold. You know what I mean? It's like finding something tangible or valuable,
Hmm.
that you could take with you.
Hmm.
And that's, not that I live in the past, but I would rather escape to the memories of certain things in the past or the history of that than see what half the stuff that goes on today.
Exactly. Exactly.
I just would rather, sit on the planks in front of the Oriental and just do nothing, but just sit and watch people. You know what I mean? So,
Wouldn't it be the greatest thing to be able to walk through these places with like just a few, very few people, not
mhm.
not a huge group, but walking through like the Winchester Mystery Mansion.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Oh,
that's on my list.
oh
Or the
God,
Queen Mary.
yes, the Queen Mary would be Spruce Goose.
Oh
All
yeah.
all the
Yeah.
things. It just
Yeah.
be amazing. Or
Right.
uh, where were the Shanghai tunnels? Uh, and
Portland.
yeah, I would love to be around those.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
one in Savannah.
Is
They've
there?
got yeah, they've got it's at the Pirates House restaurant, which was built in the, I want to say, late 1600s.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's
Okay.
old, old, old
Right. Right.
parts of
Right.
it, and
Mm-hmm.
they've got a Shanghai tunnel in that place.
Mm.
So wonder how many dropped through that
Right.
and were
Right.
gone forever.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's so much. I have a kind of a love thing for like pirates and that whole era of piracy. The whole you know buried treasure type thing. I kind of grew up on that too, and that is always fascinating me. Not that I would be ever be like want to go search for that, but I mean it's just the history of how
Hmm.
that how they lived in that aspect was just fascinating to me. And
Yeah. Can you
you know, s-
imagine fear, though, you would feel if a pirate ship
oh yeah,
just suddenly you see
right,
it on the horizon going, oh no,
right, yeah, yeah, right.
oh
I mean,
no.
I grew up watching. I grew up watching Goonies. You know, I remember watching that on VHS when I was 13, 14 years old. I still love that movie. That's one of
Yeah,
my favorite all time treasure hunt movies.
right?
And but I guess, but there again, like somebody was asking me, how did you get into the paranormal? And I said, Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
I seriously,
a
I
lot of us.
grew up watching those shows back in the 70s, early 70s,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I loved the scariness or the spookiness aspect of it, and it was just I just loved it. You know what I mean? And I guess that's where it was always when I was growing up. I always wanted to go to haunted houses on Halloween.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
not realizing real haunted houses, but fake ones, and thought I like to be scared. But then when I had eventually gone through a couple, that wasn't where I wanted to go. I wanted to go to a real haunted
Yes.
house.
Yes.
You know,
I
and now
growing
that I have, and I've lived in pretty much every one except the one I live in now. You know, it's just become a normal thing.
wow.
You know,
There's
but yeah.
growing up, I was a weird kid and I loved all the scary stuff. Loved it.
Hmm.
I remember
Hmm.
watching Dark Shadows with my grandmother.
Yep. Yep.
The black and white on the
Hmm.
TV, and loved it. Loved Barnabas. And then
Yeah.
every night I would make her tell me my bedtime story, and it was a scary bedtime story. And
Right.
she would
Right.
say, I just told it to you last night. Nanny, please
Right.
tell me again. Please tell me. And it
Right.
always ended in boo. Now go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Right.
And I would. I would after that. But
Right. Right.
yeah, I've
Right. Right.
always loved it.
And I think a lot of it is more the mystery
Mhm.
of that aspect of that thought process of not so much of being scared, but what's around the corner. The mystery of it could be
Yes.
something, could be nothing. You know what I mean? And so I guess that's where it kind of lies, especially us being gifted as we are. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't want to know what's coming. I want to be able to experience it. I want to be able
Mhm.
to see it beforehand and then experience it. You know what I mean? It's kind of just one of those things where, yeah, you just like when I go to, if I go to investigation, I don't want anybody to tell me anything about it.
That's
You know,
Mark. Yeah, he doesn't.
I don't want to know anything,
Mhm.
and that's even when I watched a lot of paranormal. Like recently, I've watched a lot of paranormal TV shows. Why I didn't realize it because I wasn't. I used to watch them years ago, and then I got out of them because they were stupid, they were
Right.
fake, and they were. It was just. But then I started watching all of them over again. I couldn't figure out why, and then it hit me that I was kind of exercising my third eye in that sense where I was starting to pick up things that they weren't
Yeah.
and coming out later in different episodes of that's what it was. You know what I mean? So I was
Hmm.
kind of piecing all these things together and realizing, seeing things when I was watching this of what this was or what that was. And then later in the episode, they would say, that's what it was or that's what we caught. Well, I already knew that. You know
Hmm.
what I so it was entertaining to me. You know what I mean? But I still am not a big fan of those shows. But I can appreciate them to a certain level. You know, if I ever had my own show, it would be a real honest, which probably wouldn't sell. And
Oh,
that's the sad thing about
that's sad. Yeah, I
it.
know. Ghost Adventures came to this county, to the old
Yeah.
hospital here, and this was
Hmm.
back, I think, in maybe 2014 ish, something like that.
Is that the Harriman or Harriman?
No,
What is that
it's
hospital?
in Fayetteville. It's in Fayetteville, Tennessee. Harriman
Oh,
is,
okay.
yeah, that's up going east. But
Okay.
this is the old Lincoln County Hospital in Fayetteville,
Okay.
Tennessee. And they came with a script, of course, that had nothing to do with anything. And about the third person that told them, "Look, dude, all you got to do is walk in there. You'll hear
Right.
stuff. You'll hear it." And they finally threw down their script
Right.
and did an actual investigation, which ended up being one of their better shows. And
Right.
I
Right.
there's one thing that happened that I've got to throw a nah. I think that's bullshit. Um, it was they thought they saw a shadow guy in the basement, but the basement has windows that lots of people walk by all the time. So I kind of
Right.
think
Right.
that was a human walking by.
Right. Right.
Other
Right.
the rest of it um, was pretty good as for
Was
what
Yeah.
they
Right.
are, because they
Right.
came.
Right.
They had 4 days set aside for filming, and then
Right.
they chop all that down and get the very best stuff to put
Right.
in what 40 minutes,
Yeah.
of the hour minus the commercials. It's about 40 minutes ish.
Right.
But people don't understand that. And when a residence calls for you to come investigate their house, they expect you to come, find out exactly what it is, tell them exactly what it is, and then leave. Well, we're not like the shows. We're it's
Right.
not it's nothing like that.
It's nothing like that. Right. Right.
Nothing.
It's what a
And
lot of people don't understand.
no, and if they don't quit using their little ovulus in their own home all the time, they're never going to be left alone.
Right.
You
Right.
just, you know,
Right. Yeah. There's so many different things of whatnot. And I kind of I stopped doing. I only did a handful at the time where I was doing home investigations. The couple times that I was invited, um, there was a lady that was her intentions were not very good, and she was wanting to basically trap a couple of the investigators, and um, I could see what was there beforehand, and I said absolutely
wow,
not. I contacted another medium who lives in California who's been on Ghost Adventures, and I told her about it, and she said, "Yeah, you don't want to go anywhere near that lady." And I said, "No," I said, "I don't," because it was just like, yeah, it was that to me was more terrifying
yes,
or scary than walking into a haunted house that was gonna give you the jump scares.
yeah.
I mean,
I,
that was just
people,
creepy.
people are who we have to watch out for, not the ghosts.
Right, right. Oh yeah. So I decided that if I'm gonna do investigations, it's gonna be more or less of a business. You know what I mean? A
Mhm.
building, downtown or something that's got a lot of history or someplace that there's a lot of foot traffic. An individual home of somebody I don't know, unless you have, if unless you know somebody that I know, and this person can vouch for you and
Mhm.
your home, then yeah, then I'll do it. I have that on the books now, where I'm expected to go check out a house that um, is not too far from me, but I do ghost tour walks with her, this lady, and it's her neighbor. So I
Yeah.
know that there's a connection there. She
Yeah.
knows the people. I know her, and she knows me, so it's kind of like, yeah, but it's just the fact that I just don't, I can't trust people
No,
anymore,
you
you
really
know?
can't. And we have a very, very extensive questionnaire that usually blocks the people that are just looking for a show, or somebody that is maybe has a problem that isn't paranormal. It might be psychiatric, things like that.
Right,
And
right, right, right,
um, that we can't help. You know,
right, right, right,
so
right.
it's I tell you, since 2020, the most things I have done for residences I haven't even gone to are Zoom calls with telling how to cleanse their space,
Right, right.
how to lighten it up.
Yeah,
And I
right,
don't have to go there. They don't come to me.
right,
Everybody
right.
stays in their own space and everybody's happy because
Hmm.
they learned
Right,
something and they can take charge of it.
right.
And it's just
I
easier.
have people that just send me pictures. They'll send me. I'll read pictures. I've read, I've read texts. It's not too hard for me to kind of zoom into that, and I
Mhm.
do that, and I help people that way too.
Yeah.
Um, I got two pictures from uh, my friend who sent me two pictures of one of a doll, two different dolls. One of them was more of a trickster that was attached to it. I'm not in the whole dolls are possessed or they have this. It's a frequency that is attached to that inanimate object that is in and out, that comes and goes. It can't. It's not where it's just sitting on your shelf constantly, just looking at you.
Hmm.
It's a frequency that is brought in there. And there's been a couple times where I'm like, throw that doll out. That you need to get rid of that. I don't care what you do, but here's what it's going to do, and here's what's going to cause your pain in your head and all this other stuff. And she was right, and she was like, yeah, that's what it does. I'm like, you get rid of it. It's just
Hmm.
a frequency. It's an energy or frequency, a negative frequency, no matter what it is. It's
Hmm.
just So yeah, inanimate objects is something that I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah. But they can have attachments, like you say,
Right,
and
right,
energy.
right.
The
Mm-hmm.
last residential we did was, gosh, I want to say 2015, something like that, 2016 maybe. We just don't go to many residences now. It's
Right.
just, number one, it's not safe. Number two,
No.
you know, we can't help them because they're not going to help themselves by stopping
Right.
what they're doing, things like that.
Right.
But we went to this one house down around Coleman, Alabama, and the grandmother, let's see, it was the grandmother, the mother, um, her her son and daughter, and there was another couple of guys that lived there, and I'm not sure if it was an uncle, how they were, but the whole thing centered around the little girl's room, and our equipment kept going off around the little girl's room. It, and we kept trying to debunk everything. Oh, wait a minute, why is there this going off in here? Why is that going off in here?
Mm-hmm.
And there was finally this stuffed animal that she had shoved in her closet down in the bottom, had clothes covering over the thing, just pretty much out of sight completely. And we pulled it out, looked for batteries, looked for everything. This was a stuffed animal. This had
Mm-hmm.
no battery compartment. It had nothing. It was stuffed. And we went out. We said, "What's the story with this thing?" And the grandmother said, "Oh, she had to have that. We went to a yard sale, and I think I paid 25 cents for it." And, well, this thing has something attached to it. We don't know what it is. We can't.
Mm-hmm.
We we don't know, but it shouldn't be setting off our equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
it every time it was setting it off. Um, One of my team members took it and got rid of it for her. But that was the weirdest thing because it was, I'm thinking that's got to be battery operated. That's got to be. Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Stuff.
Right. Right.
Weird.
Yeah. You get the right frequency, and that'll just do it'll light everything up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just whatever's attached to it. You know what I mean? In that sense, it's just
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it is, it's weird, especially with, talking about, uh, home investigations and stuff like that. Yeah, you're right. It's dangerous nowadays. You have to be really careful. I mean, I'm paranoid to begin with. So it's, I just I'm always looking over my shoulder, but I've
Yeah.
always been that
And you kind of have to,
way. Yeah. Yep. Pretty much. But
unfortunately.
yeah. Holy crap! It's 55. Holy shit! This hour's gone by.
It's gone quick.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, yeah. I usually do it for 50 minutes, and sometimes if I run into an hour or whatever. But no, I mean this has been a great conversation. Before we go, tell people where we can find your books.
Yeah. So I'm on Amazon. I'm self published. You can look up Sin Schrader Hill. If you put in my name, you're going to also bring up Mark Elliott Fultz and Eric Freeman Sims because I've edited both of theirs. And anybody else's I'm in, like Angel Ray and Till Grace, Shades of Angels, different things like that. They'll all come up because we're all connected. We're all good friends. And those books, there's 7 right now, soon to be 8, 9, 10, and on.
Wow, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well,
And if
congrats on that.
any of your listeners have stories they would like for me to include in any of the books coming up, you can reach me at Sin Schrader Hill author at gmail.com.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm sure that people really they'd love to read a good ghost story. A book, angels or spirits or even NDEs.
Yeah.
I did a show with NDEs for a while too. So yeah, they're it's great to connect with
Interesting.
people like that.
I think
There's
so
great
too.
stories in there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, but I want to thank you again for coming on,
Thank you so much for
and I want
having
to
me.
thank. Yeah, it's just been fun. It was fun last time we did it, and it's I didn't expect anything less.
Oh, well.
So yeah.
So,
But having said that, everybody, this is on YouTube under Studio Six Media, and you can find us. You can find me on all my platforms, including Studio Six Media on TikTok and on Instagram. Do you have an Instagram account?
I do. So it's
Okay.
all connected. Yeah. I can send you my link tree if you
Yeah,
need that.
please do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do, and I'll post it probably on Facebook. So having said that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and this is Unscripted.